Okay, so we're gonna do elephant today. Matilda's gonna demo it. The bar is at the top, 2 springs. Generally, if you want to make it more difficult, you could do 1, but the general rule is 2 springs. So Matilda, you're going to step onto the reformer. You're going to put your hands on the bar with the thumbs width. Now, if the person, it depends on their height, but generally you try to get their feet right to the back of the shoulder blocks. And then you're looking for this sort of 50-50 weight between the arms and the legs. In this exercise, I mean, I think of it as an upside down sort of abdominal exercise because they can find the nice support of their shoulder girdle on their rib cage, or the rib cage onto the shoulder girdle. Nice hangy heads. You get this stretch through the back of the neck. Her heels are down. Now, I didn't say it, or maybe I did, but when I was doing the short box series, my shins were burning. So that same sort of toe lift and sort of, you can do that here. So they get this sort of connection from the front of the foot into the shin. And why is that? Because so often people will slam back here because they don't have the ankle flexion. They don't have the Achilles stretch. So this is sort of where we're working the flexion of the ankles in short strap or roll-ups. We want that here because the movement's going to come from her hip versus the back of her knees. So on her inhale, she's in this nice curved position. She's going to inhale, move her femurs back. She's going to exhale, draw her belly up to pull her legs home. Inhale, exhale. And I sometimes will cue, imagine that you have a spike pushing through your heels so that we don't get this rocking. So often I see people rocking from foot to heel, and that's not the goal. The goal is, yeah, exactly, right? Is to see how far they can go back to get this beautiful ankle flexion without it happening from the knees. And now she's she's learning very subtly some hip extension, and that she's learning to move the femur in the hip, okay? Now, the breath, of course, is 360 degrees on the inhale, and then the exhale, she draws her tummy in to push the air out to let her legs come home. So, yeah, right? And then the belly, right. Don't pull with your feet so much, but drag your heels down and forward more. And then I didn't talk about the pace, but the pace is usually a little quicker. So inhale, inhale, and you don't go back very far. Now, what are the things that we generally run into? People will yes, thank you, they'll push back, they'll lift their shoulders up around their ears, and you're like, okay, well now this is a flat back. Yeah. Really, it does teach you on this level 1 or beginner exercise how to get access to your psoas, because if I put her upside down, she's doing double leg lower and lift in a way, right? So if you're on your back and you put your hands here, so now we can teach that. What I see a lot of is people will push their backs down to push the legs out. And I see this dropping. There should be no dropping. If I had a rope sort of tethering her to the roof without overstretching this, there, she's gonna keep that tailbone curled towards her nose. And again, we're just moving femurs and hips. Here you go. You barely get back. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Right. Do you feel a bit of belly there? Yeah. There you go. Okay, so you got this nice, even pressure from on hands and feet. There you go, that will warm you up. Okay, have you got anything else to add?
I think that was awesome. I think we just need to maybe talk a little bit on the modifications due to people's body sizes. And perfect. Any tightnesses that we might see happening.
Exactly. Okay, so come back up, because she did such a great job, I really didn't have a lot to say. But a couple things. Because of her height, she's got kind of this perfect height. I do want her heels back. Now, why is that? Because, bring your legs forward a little bit. People want to go here because now if they have tightness through the back of their ankle, they don't have to try to open that up or stretch it. So if they're Matilda's height, then yes, I want those ankles back. I want this stretch and a stretch to the back, contraction through the front. But having said that, if I got a little tiny person, then they're gonna be like already way out there, and now they don't get enough kickback to pull the carriage back in. So if you were a teenier person, let's just say, you would bring your feet in a little bit more, because we don't want their hips already too extended. The idea is that they do find a subtle hip extension to move the carriage back. Right, and then, otherwise they're just staying in extension too much through the exercise. They don't get enough of that psoas contraction that we need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's great. Now, one other thing I think that's important that you were talking about earlier was the positioning of the leg and the hip, because there's a lot of people who live in that tucked position here.
Right. Yep.
And I think that's really, do you want to hop
Yep.
up?
Yeah, I will.
And I think this is an important piece, is the lordotic versus the tucked person. So a lot of people who live in a tuck, their lumbar, is overflexed, and their legs kind of live in the front of the hip joint. So they're kind of like, their bum's dropping off of them, I guess you can kind of say, or their pelvis. So with them, you just want to make sure if their legs go far enough back, or what you can cue is just stick your butt out, lengthen the hamstring, and then once this is lengthened, ask them to keep their legs back here and then create some flexion through their lumbar once without losing the leg positioning.
Without doing that kind of an idea.
Without doing that. So there's not an overstretch in the thoracic. So looking for, it's kind of like the pelvis is being held up from the legs, so the pelvis has somewhere to sit comfortably. The other option would be a lordotic person who lives with too much extension in their low back. Now they've got the pelvis we're looking for, but this is a tough place for them. So if we brought their legs in a little bit more, that would allow for their pelvis to be able to rotate to allow the lumbar to open up a little bit more, and then they could do it from here. So really just looking at the body in front of you, because really we're just trying to bring that body back to health.
Right, and then one other thing, a lot of times because people have so much tightness through here, when you ask them to give you a tail curl or the dropping of the sacrum, we'll see this.
That's right.
And they really think that they're opening their lower back, but you gotta keep the rib cage settled onto the shoulder girdle, and then you have to find that tail curl as small as it is. I promise you, you'll find some tummy.
And the cool thing, thank you for bringing that in, because you know what, this is called elephant, and it's kind of neat. And you know how elephants have kind of like that crinkly skin? You want people's backs to almost feel like it's almost like that, where it's just soft and gentle and kind of wrinkly instead of overstretched and taut. That's how you know you're losing your limbs and overstretching the back, flexing the back from the back line rather than
the front line.
The front line being the flexors, that it's creating this flexion for you.
Totally.
Yeah?
Yep.
All right. Thanks guys.
Man.